Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars figure review. Next up for you today we're going to take a look at the final figure that I've been able to acquire from Wave 2 of 2011 from the Clone Wars line. This is quite a peculiar one once again for me, mainly because it's a figure that I was really looking forward to picking up, but now that I have it in my hands it's kind of underwhelming. But it's still a very cool figure nonetheless, and definitely a highly sought after character and one that fetches an absolute premium on eBay. And it is of course this guy here. This is Clone Commander Wolffe, who I believe is the leader of Plo Koon's Clone Trooper Squadron. He's a really cool figure, but as I said I do have a couple of problems and issues with it, which I'll get onto in a moment. But first up, as always, we're going to take a look at the packaging that he comes in. Now I really like the image on the top of the card of Commander Wolffe. Obviously we all know Wolffe as the clone trooper who has the gammy eye with the scar, which I believe he lost in a battle with Asajj Ventress. On the back of the image, on the back of the packaging, sorry, we do have a picture of Commander Wolffe in hologram form as he appears in the Clone Wars, as well as an image of the figure, character's description and the rest of the wave pictured on the bottom. Now once again this is a US import, so you've got the code for the online Clone Wars game, which I'll share with you in a moment. But yeah, Wolffe, quite an interesting figure and quite an interesting character. We've seen this guy in various forms throughout the Clone Wars since Season 1. We've seen him in Clone Officer gear, we've seen him in Clone Trooper armour, we've seen him in different phases of that armour, seen him in hologram form, we've seen him pretty much all across the galaxy, literally, in the Clone Wars series, so he's definitely a prolific clone trooper. It's not like it's one of those figures that Hasbro have produced based on a 2-second appearance like Captain Locke, but still, nonetheless, cool character. Now, like with most Clone Wars figures, and I've misplaced it yet again, he does come with a battle game card and display stand. Here it is. I'll share with you the online code first, so once again feel free to pause that and jot down the code. And as I said, he does come with a battle game card and display stand, and you've got a really cool image of what appears to be Wolffe on Geonosis there, which I'm assuming is once again a Photoshop mock-up, since we never actually see this as a still in the series, but you know, very cool nonetheless. And then of course you've got the generic stand with it as well. So onto the figure. Now I'll start with the cons of this figure, I suppose I could call it. Now you'll notice obviously that this Clone Commander Wolffe figure does indeed have a completely new head sculpt, which I will zoom in on for you due to the lighting conditions at the moment. But there you go. The head sculpt is much more similar to, say, Clone Trooper Heavy in training armour, as opposed to head sculpts that we've seen on pretty much all the Clone Trooper figures that sport this sort of hairdo in the past. He's got a grimace on his face, and obviously he has the very deep scar on the side of his face as well. So it's a completely new head sculpt. But the only thing that I don't like about this is the fact that Hasbro have sculpted it a little bit too big, and this makes it a problem for the helmet to actually fit on the figure. Now that you've seen the head sculpt, I will show you the helmet on the figure, just give you one last close-up on that. It is a cool head sculpt when the helmet's not on, but as I said, it does make it a problem when the helmet is fitted. As I said, the head sculpt is quite large, and once you pose the helmet on it, it kind of looks a little bit awkward. You sort of get the same issue that you had with the ARC Trooper Battle Pack Captain Rex, where when you put the helmet on, the helmet it really squishes out, and you've got to really push it on in order to get the helmet to fit completely, otherwise you get the chin sticking out at the bottom. And once again, as you can see, it just looks completely squashed out and just looks really, really awkward. Aside from that, the figure is fantastic. There's some superb paintwork on the helmet itself. It does zigzag patterns around the side. And this is the same helmet that you actually get with the ARC Troopers Captain Rex, as it's the newer sculpt with the rangefinder attached. Mouthpiece could have been painted a little bit better. There's basically no mouth on this one, but other than that it looks very cool. On one side of his shoulder you have the Wolfpack symbol, and then in the other arm you've got the emblem or the decal, which we've seen on figures such as Sinker and Boost and the Space Gear clones. In terms of actual sculpt, this guy's a kit bash. As I said, he has a new helmet, new head sculpt, and the ARC Trooper Captain Rex helmet. He also has the upper body of Commander Cody, which is evident from the shoulder antenna there, and he also has the lower body of Captain Rex, which is obviously shown with the command Kamer that he's wearing. And speaking of which, obviously, as we all know, there are two DC-17 pistols stored in the holsters on there. In terms of accessories, he does come with quite a few. As I said, he does come with the pistols in the holsters. He also comes with the standard DC-15S carbine pistol, and he also comes with the very large, particularly oversized rocket launcher as well, which you press the button on the top and the missile proceeds to fire out. I don't really tend to pose my figures with these weapons, but I've been trying to spice up my shelves a little bit and just add a little bit of variation to it, so I've been posing my figures with the larger weapons. But other than that, as I said, I don't really tend to use them. You may see that I'm trying to struggle now getting the helmet off, and as I said, this is one of the major factors in my loathing of this figure at the same time that I love it. Once you've got the helmet on the figure, you've got to really sort of pull it off, and I mean pull it off. You almost have to hold the head in place and then just squeeze the helmet off as best you can, as it's that awkward. But with the helmet under the arm and the head sculpt on show, this guy looks absolutely awesome, and he's definitely a figure that I'd recommend picking up if you are a Clone Wars collector. In terms of articulation, which I'll cover before I forget, he does indeed have a ball jointed neck, ball hinged shoulders and elbows, ball hinged wrists, a ball jointed torso, swivel hips, ball hinged knees and ball hinged ankles. So he's a decent figure. It's really good that they decided against using the Commander Stone build for this guy. So you get the full range of articulation in him, but as I said, the helmet and the head sculpt are, you know, really sort of really bad points. I guess that's the only way of putting it. For me personally, as the figure just really lacks in that area. I absolutely love the head sculpt, don't get me wrong, and I really like the fact that you've got the eye painted silver, which is really, really cool. But as I said, if it was a little bit smaller and the helmet would fit on it a lot better, then this would have been the perfect figure, but Hasbro, you know, just failed in that area. So it's not 100% perfect, but still a very cool figure nonetheless, and as I said, one that I would definitely recommend tracking down if you love clones and you love the Clone Wars. So there we go, that's Commander Wolffe from Wave 2 of 2011. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this guy, and I'll be back with some more reviews very soon. I've got helmets, vehicles and more Clone Wars figures to show you very soon, so stay tuned for all of those and more. And until next time, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.